welcome to another fun and insightful episode of the Harvest Podcast with me, Carmel Fisher. On today's episode, we are covering spotlighting an industry expert known as Mr. Dan Grech. He's the founder and CEO of BizHack Academy. He trains small business owners around the world in the BizHack lead building system. I'm super curious and excited to hear more about this way of doing business, but also Dan Grech has got a lot more up his sleeve, so stay tuned with us. Dan, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, Carmel.
Very excited to hear more about you and your journey, your background, Dan. So just jump straight into that and bring us up to speed with where you come from and where you're at right now.
Sure. I think I am a business owner and entrepreneur. I run a training academy for AI-powered marketing. We've trained thousands of businesses and business owners in how to use AI tools to market more effectively. And what makes, I think, me unusual in the business world is my journalism background. I spent nearly 20 years as a journalist at both in print and broadcast, Washington Post, Miami Herald, Boston Globe, and then later NPR and PBS. And I see in many ways a common thread in my entire career, which is I have a passion to learn and then share what I learn with others. And so whether I'm doing that through journalism by going out and reporting and putting those pieces together into a story, or I'm doing that through training by learning about cutting edge technologies and then providing a systematic approach for how entrepreneurs and business owners can employ that in their business, it all feels very much like the same activity, though it might look very different on the face of it.
Very interesting that storytelling is such a big part of what you do. And I think it's always been an important, significant part of doing business, of telling your story as an individual, a business, but even more so, right, Dan, in today's high impact world, information overload, really getting people to resonate with a particular story, I think has become so much more important to actually just having that information stick. Right, there's so much going on. How do we tell a story that actually sticks and gets people to then act on that information? Can you talk us through that ideology at all, and how you found various ways of storytelling that work, not just for you as an individual, but for the businesses that you train?
Yeah. So storytelling can feel a little old-fashioned. It even sounds a little old-fashioned. But at the core of all business is a human-to-human transaction. And at the core of all human-to-human interactions is story. This is how we've related to each other from time immemorial. And this is how we transmit information, retain information, build trust. And people do business with people that they like and trust. So I call it the root hack in business, because if you can find a way to tell an authentic story that makes people like and trust you, it will be an unlocking mechanism for sales, for marketing, for recruitment, for leadership. Now, I know a lot of your listeners run startups, and if you look at really at the core of what raising money is about, it's really the investors are funding an idea and a team.
Yep.
There's not a lot else to go on, right? And so that pitch deck is really just a story. Now, if you look at more mature businesses that are more established and they're looking to raise money from more traditional places, one of the fundamentals of credit is C, character. And character is defined by who you are and why you do what you do. So there's just this thread of storytelling that underlies all of business that isn't always recognized and is sometimes ignored to people's peril. And I think this has actually become more problematic with digital marketing and especially AI-powered marketing, this idea that robots are going to generate business and do business for you. I don't see digital marketing or AI powered marketing as a replacement of the human to human. It's rather a way to reach more people and to do it more cost effectively. So it's more of an amplifier of your human story than a replacement of it.
And, many people and companies are going to be taking advantage of this technology. So I just foresee much more bombardment of, humans not having to do it, but AI doing it, companies doing it so much more effectively, so much more expansively. I'm just seeing a lot more information coming at me, which I think is where the significance and the structure, the storytelling itself is so important because there's going to be a million stories coming our way. I'm already bracing up for becoming numb to that, as many people have already. What is going to make a story different to the other story? For instance, two companies who are in fintech, what's going to differentiate their stories that I'm now more interested to hear it?
Yeah, we're already seeing the answer to this in social media. I call it ATV, authenticity, transparency, and vulnerability. And if you look at what actually trends on social media, which is a really good kind of metric of what audiences are responding to, um, when it comes from businesses, it's authentic, transparent, vulnerable communications. People, especially younger generations, are almost wired to sniff out inauthenticity. And this is one of the big risks with AI powered communications is unless you're sophisticated at prompting to make sure that you're giving the bots information that isn't necessarily generic or findable on the web, everything that's going to be produced by them will be in a generic voice and not really stand out. And so really what I think is the key is to start getting more comfortable with the idea of being authentic, transparent, and vulnerable, which is very uncomfortable for some people, and then getting good at leveraging AI tools to tell that story more powerfully. Because for most people, AI is a better writer than they are. But AI is only as good as the training you give it about who you are and what you care about. And there's no database where they're going to find that information that has to be given by you.
Awesome. Authentic, transparent, vulnerable. I've
Yeah, it's
learned.
ATV, like it's going to get you where you want to go, like an all-terrain vehicle. And the other thing about it is it's differentiating. Most small businesses, and arguably even most businesses, are Me Too businesses. A restaurant, they might have a unique dish, but there's 15 other restaurants maybe within walking distance.
Right.
Pest control services, yoga studios. People have a lot of different options, and on the face of it, they often look pretty similar. Many people will say, "Oh, well, we have the best customer service." Well, everybody says that, and the only way to prove that you're right is to actually to begin doing business with you. So how do you get somebody who isn't a customer, a stranger, to start working with you? One of the unlocking mechanisms, one of the most efficient and time-tested ways to do that is to tell your story. And this sort of fundamental truth, which is incredibly powerful for small businesses, is evident in the largest companies. Many of us know with incredible detail the personal stories of the founders of some of the largest companies in the world. And that is intentional. It is not an accident that we know the Mark Zuckerberg story, that we know the Jeff Bezos story, that we know the Elon Musk story, that we
Right.
identify individuals with some of the largest companies in the history of the world, even if they have 10 or even hundreds of thousands of employees. It's just the Steve Jobs story, it's how we interact with business.
Couldn't have said it better. That's awesome. Now, you on a mission to train 1 million underserved businesses. How did you identify this need and what unique challenges do these businesses face in today's digital landscape? I think we've touched on some, but please clarify these for us.
Yeah, it was Jim Collins who talked about the big, hairy, audacious goal, a goal that is ambitious but achievable. I'll be honest, before the advent of ChatGPT and AI-powered tools, uh, which came out and hit the scene in November of 2022, and really marked a before and after in history, and certainly in business and marketing. My goal was to reach 10,000 entrepreneurs. What has happened is I was able to reach those 10,000 in a year, because the need and the thirst for knowledge about AI-powered marketing and how to leverage these tools effectively has exploded, and with it, our company. And so we have, as a team, set the ambitious goal of training 1 million underserved business owners and entrepreneurs in AI-powered marketing and storytelling, so they and their communities can thrive, and so that they can grow faster. Now, I can unpack those, but I think the one that I want to focus on is underserved. A train is leaving the station, and that is the AI train.
Yeah.
And there is no option. If you are in business, whether you like it or not, you must leverage AI tools, or risk falling behind your competitors and eventually going out of business. Now, how do you get there? What do you do to get yourself prepared for and to take advantage of that? That's what BizHack is there to do, is to provide you kind of a roadmap and an onboarding to these incredibly powerful tools. And the people who are most at risk of getting left behind are the traditionally disenfranchised, the women, the minorities, the immigrants. And so, in part by virtue of the fact that my company has its roots in Miami, we have not only served a large number of underserved populations, but we've also created and self-funded scholarship programs to make it more accessible to those populations. This is a technological revolution, and technologies have historically been driven by and used by wealthy white men. And I am a wealthy white man, but I'm also the son of an immigrant from Spain. I'm Jewish. And so I have, I think, an appreciation for and a recognition of the challenges that some people face to just be on an even playing field. And so we're dedicated to trying to do that for 1 million entrepreneurs.
Wonderful. So you're bringing a very specific recipe for business success into this digital age, and helping those less fortunate. Awesome. Really awesome. Can you
And
explain
I see this, yeah, just one really quick, I see this as like a societal challenge.
Sure.
Do we want to live in a society where we leave the most vulnerable behind, or do we want to live in a society where we bring them along with us? And I think as a community and as a country, we have a obligation, moral, ethical, and financial, to bring these folks along and to unlock this incredible potential. I think the risk is 50% of our economy and almost 80% of our employment is driven by small and medium-sized businesses, and those businesses are at risk. But also, we are now competing with India and China, which have some of the most advanced cutting-edge artificial intelligence technologies in the world. And so we also, just as a country, need to bring everybody up to speed and get them future ready so that we can compete on a global stage.
100%. So to that point, can you explain the lead building system that's trademarked, I see, and the thought leadership pyramid that's also trademarked, but how do these frameworks adapt to the rapid changes in AI and digital marketing?
Yeah, so the lead building system and the thought leadership framework are systematic approaches to marketing. We like to say that we want to avoid businesses committing random acts of marketing. And if you don't know what the purpose, what the objective of a piece of marketing is, it's a random act. If you don't know who your ideal target audience is for that, it's a random act. If you don't have an irresistible offer associated with that campaign, it's a random act. And so we want to take marketing from the random, the throw the spaghetti on the wall and hope it sticks, to the systematic. And this is what these systems do. And we do this for lead generation through the lead building system, and thought leadership, and how to get noisy about thought leadership through our thought leadership pyramid. And then we have ebooks and webinars and recorded courses and live courses with coaching, where we help train people in these systems, and then leverage AI as a tool to accelerate your use of this systematic approach. So one of the important things is a lot of folks, I think, are looking to have AI replace them or their marketing teams. Rather, we think of it more as a cyborg, where we want you to work hand in hand with the robot so that you can be stronger, faster, better, and do more content at a higher quality, but never to replace that human touch that is what really is the connection that breaks through the noise, drives your unique value proposition, and ultimately will help grow your business.
Yeah, and I think people are now moving past that fear of, oh, AI is coming to take our jobs because firstly, I don't think the companies are that far advanced to have the most cutting edge AI technologies. But then again, these technologies do need human prompting. So you just need to get up to speed with knowing how to tell AI what to do, so that you can do what you need to do faster. And I think I know initially myself, I was like, oh no, they're coming for our jobs. But as you just get more entrenched in this new disruptive technology, you realize that it's a slow game and there's definitely a way of working together with AI.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think job displacement is a real thing.
yeah,
And there's like two categories of job displacement. There's the category of job displacement for the larger companies,
right.
and that's real. I mean, some of the job displacement right now is just like these big companies are laying off lots of people, like Facebook and so forth, so that they can reinvest in AI because there's an arms race going on. So that I wouldn't even call job displacement due to AI tools. That's job displacement due to AI investment, right? They need to find the money somewhere. But then there's also a lot of jobs that are just going to go away. And then one of the jobs that's going to go away is the old way of running businesses. Like every business owner is required as part of their seat to use AI tools to run their business more efficiently. Because if they don't, some newfangled competitor who knows those tools is going to be able to build their same product at a fraction of the cost.
For sure. So, BizHack Academy, the company to which you're the CEO, in that same seat using AI, you've given away $250,000 in training scholarships. Tell us more about that, and then also how you measure the impact of these investments on minority and women-owned businesses, specifically, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Well, this initiative dates back to the first months of COVID. We at that point were based in Miami, and now we're in 6 continents. But back then, we were just an in-person training company, and l- like so many businesses, we had to shut our doors when COVID hit,
Yeah.
and we were within weeks of running out of money. And around that time, some of my team members came to me and they said, Dan, we teach digital marketing. Even though our courses are canceled, our in-person courses are canceled, there's never been a more vital time for digital marketing than right now. And so in that time, we started a weekly masterclass series that we have continued to this day, going into our 5th year. We've won 4 national awards for cause marketing, and we've now become funded by sponsors who help make this a service that we can continue to do. What we started to see is that people needed the training, but they didn't have the money to afford it. And so, at the same time that we ourselves were suffering, and we were giving away this free information in these masterclasses, we launched a scholarship program that specifically targeted those underserved businesses. And we've now run more than 300 businesses through the scholarships to the tune of more than $250,000. And this just really aligns with our values. And, my background is the son of an immigrant who came here from Spain without a college education and without much, and had to kind of start over. And we just want to kind of give these folks a leg up. I know in my life, the best investments I've ever done have been in myself and my own education. And so we do feel like these tools are not expensive and in many cases aren't even that hard to use. But there is training required in how to use them in a strategic way. And that's what we're trying to provide. How do we measure success? revenue generation. So the average participant in our Meta AI advertising course generates $13 in revenue for every $1 in investment. One of my favorite stories is Antoinette Patterson. She runs a inner city Miami daycare center. She ran $200 in ads that generated her more than $30,000 in new students. And what was so crazy about this is that the ad that she ran was a video of that included a screenshot of her sign with red text on top of it, which is to say, if you have an irresistible offer, if you have something really compelling to offer, you get it in front of the right people, she got the targeting really right, they will buy. And so Antoinette is to date, though she probably had one of the ugliest campaigns we've ever seen, the most profitable campaign in the history of BizHack, with a return on investment of nearly $300 for every $8 she spent on ads.
Wow. So you've worked with both startups, obviously, and then Fortune 500 companies as well. Are there any common growth challenges that you've seen across the spectrum? And then tell us how AI powered marketing addresses these.
Yeah, the challenge is always people,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what size business. I think the challenge related to people has become more and more complicated. I think part of what COVID did is it made us all death aware. And so we're all like really more aware of how we spend our time, and probably not as willing to spend it badly or with companies that don't treat us well. And so all of us are struggling with finding the right talent. Where AI can really help is it can help make your employees far more efficient. The other big outcome that we're very, very proud of is the average participant in our training programs, it's only 8 weeks, reports saving 2 hours a day in their marketing and sales activities. Now, when I first saw those statistics, I was like, that's not possible. But the truth is, I can actually look at my own life and see enormous time savings. But also, we actually have seen some national studies that mirror those results. AI is just such a powerful efficiency tool. And so, while it is not a replacement for
Right.
human beings, it is an accelerant it's a force multiplier. And this is particularly important. I have not yet found a company, whether they're Fortune 500, a startup, or somewhere in between, that has enough money or resources dedicated to marketing. And so we're all resource constrained. The constraints look different, but we always have more ideas and more opportunities than we have the money and people to pursue. What this is allowing is it's unlocking the ability for faster go-to-market, and faster rate of testing for startups, and for small businesses, just a higher volume of content on social media and email, video creation. I mean, we are right on the cusp, as we record this in October of 2024, of text to video. The
Right.
vernacular of the web is video. And if we can, and the challenge for most businesses is video is expensive and time consuming to create. And tools have been developed over the years that have helped accelerate that and make it easier, but nothing like what is on the horizon in 2025, which is the ability to write text prompts and then have a high quality video produced off of it. Now, the challenge is those videos are never going to be audience ready. And so there's still going to need to be some level of video editing resources available, but it will get you there so much faster. So that's really exciting, I think, for small businesses. And then for the larger businesses, a lot of the most useful content is being created by influencers and other folks who are authentically interacting with their brand. And so the extent to which influencers can create higher quality, better content will help the big brands as well.
And for sure, like I see the translation abilities with AI, the video adaptability of putting a AI human form robot, whatever we call them, a clone of yourself or anyone that may look more, that may appeal more to a specific audience. I think see the adaptability of that, and for sure, it's definitely crossing boundary lines and allowing companies to cross those boundary lines.
Yeah, I'll give you a fun example that we use an AI bot in my company to do some outbound phone calls, and we
Yeah,
intentionally trained the bot with both bilingually and a slight accent, so that when
right,
we're calling people in Miami, it sounds more like them rather than like me. Northeast. I was born in Philadelphia, so northeastern
right.
white guy accent, and that isn't necessarily going to be as appealing as an accent that's more familiar to them.
For sure, more relatability, even though it takes us slightly away from the authenticity that you're promoting, right? So there's always kind of pros and cons, but I get it. It's
Yeah,
using AI to its fullest extent, even though fundamentally it may not be as authentic to the company. Is that a fair statement?
well, I think of authenticity differently. More than 70% of my instructors, we have more than 100 instructors, are women or people of color. And that is both a ethical imperative, but also a business one, because
Yeah,
people tend to respond better when they're trained by people who understand their experience, who maybe look like them. And so we have found that like I'm not as effective in front of some audiences. And
sure.
so we have an incredible backbench of talent to help with that. The other piece of authenticity is around transparency. And this is every company needs an AI use policy and to
Yeah,
define for their use how they're going to disclose AI. So with our AI bot, when it calls, it self-identifies as an AI assistant. And then we say, hey, if you're interested in learning how to use AI tools like me,
right.
take this course or join this program. And so, at least for us, that kind of transparency is really important, both from an ethical and frankly from a marketing perspective. We think it actually is more effective to be honest because the AI bot is so good that I think
Yeah.
people can't help but be impressed.
I honestly got a call right before our interview today, and I was convinced I was speaking with a human. But the thing that gave this guy away is that I would respond, and I think he didn't have it tabulated into his responses that, what I had asked him or said to him, he just kind of kept going with script. But the sound of this voice was incredible. Really, most authentic I've ever heard. I get a lot of these, and I'm becoming numb to that too. So I do want to put it out there that as much as it's fantastic, it's getting better, there's still a big portion of companies who have, I mean, people, apologies, who, gotten numb to over the overwhelming amounts of things coming at you. And I'm one of those. And maybe I'm biased in saying this, but I think it's across the board where that is something that should also be as much as regulations and policies. How are we going to build up the trust again for people to absorb information in the ways that AI is now able to push it out to them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned having quite a fairly large team. How do you ensure that the curriculum that you're using stays cutting edge?
Well, it's one of the biggest challenges
Yeah,
that we face because the technology shifts so
sure.
quickly. So, I mean, I can give you a very technical answer, and maybe this is what you're looking for, but we do these master classes and give them away for free to test out new curriculum. And then based on how many people attend, we then incorporate that into the core curriculum of our courses. So it's a test mechanism both for new topics and for audience interest. So if we put out a content piece of a master class and 500 people attend and they all rank it a 9 or a 10 out of 10 in the net promoter score, then we know this is really resonating with our audience. And then we will extract a micro lesson from that and then incorporate that into our core curriculum. And that's how we kind of have been keeping up. And all of our courses are basically revised and revisited on a biannual basis so that the curriculum is basically fresh twice a year. The other piece I'll say is there's certain things about marketing, that human to human touch, the lead building system, business storytelling, the stuff that we started this call with, that don't change. And so the tools shift, and how we teach the tools shifts, but the core methodology and systematic approach does not. And so that is uh, kind of our other secret is we've developed a customized methodology that is time tested and never shifts, and then we adapt the tools to that methodology.
Do you think your courses exceed what a university or college would? I'm going to vote yes.
Yeah, well, we're I have two master's degrees and graduated from college. Colleges are trying to do something different than what we're trying to do. Um, Colleges are often, basically creating mini researchers into subjects that are or disciplines.
Right.
There's almost like a 350-year tradition of philosophy or science that's being carried forward. And these professors are honoring that tradition and trying to train new, prototypes of professors. That's the sort of old-fashioned way universities were set up. And then you have these much more like trade schools that are
Yeah.
basically like teaching you how to do things. I think of myself as far closer to like a knowledge worker trade school than a university or college. And so, um, back in the day, like community colleges, you would go there to like learn Microsoft Word, or maybe to take a cooking class.
Right.
And now, every knowledge worker, every executive, every marketing professional needs to be trained on tech tools. And how else are they going to keep up? And universities are just not set up to do that. Even the curriculum review process can take a year to get or more to get a new course approved. We're revising our curriculum at minimum at a 6-month pace. So we're at a different game. It's a highly practical, like I learn by doing, and useful learning is the 100% guide for us. If it's not useful, applicable immediately in your business to help you grow, we don't include it.
100%. And it's almost like the corporate titans who are just moving at such a snail pace to keep up with changes, to be agile in the ever-changing landscape of AI.
And that's
But just
another advantage that small
yeah,
businesses have. In addition to
right,
the like closeness to the owner is the agility.
exactly. 100%. Now, drawing from your experience in improv comedy, which is an exciting little jiggle to your career, how do you think principles of improvisation can be applied to business agility and then innovation as well in today's AI-driven market?
Yeah, there's a saying in improv called dare to fail gloriously.
Let's do it.
Dare to fail gloriously. And ultimately, what a beautiful description of entrepreneurship, of the test and learn philosophy of marketing, of the BHAG. I'm putting out there a crazily large number of a million because I'm daring to fail gloriously. I mean, if I'm going to go down, right? I've never worked harder in my life for less money, right? This is
Yeah,
taken such a toll on my health, my family. If I'm going to go for it, I'm going to go big, and I'm going to dare to fail gloriously. And I don't want any regrets that I was too risk averse or I attempted something too small. I do see the work that I'm doing as the work that will be etched in my gravestone, that my legacy will be built on. All the work I did as a journalist was really a prelude and preparation for this. And so, what improv taught me is it obliterated my fear of failure because for years I've stood on a stage in front of a live audience with no script. And I,
right.
I can't think of a better description of running a business in the 21st century in the AI age than that.
trusting yourself and doing things with purpose and in service, really. I think the rewards definitely follow after that. And I think 1 million businesses is really you reaching, but what's your addressable market? Have you looked at that? I'm sure there's much more than 1 million businesses out there who would benefit from your services.
Are you trying to tell me, Carmel, that I'm being a little unambitious with the
I
million?
think so. I think you should reach a little higher, Dan. Come on.
Well, if every single one of your listeners, the millions of your listeners came to my website, we would get there in a minute.
There we go. Well, guys, where is the website? Let's get there.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways to follow us. The first is visit bizhack.com, bizhack.com. We have a ton of free resources on the lead building system and other resources like that. Plus, you can learn more about our courses. And then at BizHack Academy on social media, and YouTube. We put a lot of recordings of our master classes and other course material there also for free. We would love to have you check us out, follow us, and hopefully we'll see you in class one day.
Wonderful. That's Dan Grech. He's all about AI, storytelling, and 10xing your business growth. So go to him and BizHack Academy for business success in the digital age. I'm Carmel Fisher. I hope you enjoy this episode. You're watching the Harvest Podcast. Stay tuned for more. That's it from the Harvest Podcast, available anywhere you find podcasts. Stay tuned for more.